What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Will Brinson here, along with Danny, Brasco, and Nejad. And hopefully a lot of you who are prepping for an incredible game between the Bills and the Ravens, but also still maybe even watching what has turned into multiple times, but it's been an incredible game between the Rams and the Eagles, kind of got away from us a little bit with Saquon Barkley rips off a long touchdown. Rams are down 2 scores, and then bam, bam, bam. The Rams had the ball, 2 minutes left. Thrilling football in Philadelphia. Yep, Steve, you are correct. What a weekend of football. What's up, boys? How we doing?
I'm doing great. I see a lot of congratulations in the chat for me. So obviously
the Commanders. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Commanders fan.
Yeah, sorry.
I will say too that some of you who, follow our content on the Early Edge or on my Twitter are sweating Sepp Strock at 50-1. I don't want to change the subject to golf. I want to talk football, but he's up 4 strokes and our 50-1 shot may come in here. We've had a really good weekend in golf.
Wow,
Farmers starts on Wednesday, but I'm ready to talk Ravens Bills. I can put the Commanders behind me for now. I'm kind of sweating which of these 2 teams that are going to play, probably the Eagles. That'll be an interesting division matchup, but let's go. Let's fire it up.
I've still got a Bills over Eagles Super Bowl exacta from that I would like to hit.
Nice.
It was also my preseason Super Bowl pick. So I'd like to be right about one of those in my life. Anyway, let's talk about the Bills and the Ravens. This game opened Buffalo -1.5 and very quickly, within a day, swung to the Ravens being favored in Buffalo. I believe the first time Buffalo has ever not been a favorite in a home playoff game, which is, I guess, pretty wild, but to be expected. If you make the playoffs, you're good. If you're hosting it, you're probably even better. And that means you're likely favored in those spots. The Ravens now at BetMGM -1 with some juice. So we've seen it come back a half a point, a little bit. I mean, and the Bills +1, -105. The total creeping up a little bit, 51.5 with some juice to the over. Danny, I believe we are head-to-head here. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, I was excited to talk sides in this game because we may be split on the pick. So we'll get good analysis on all sides for viewers, which is great. But, man, I love the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens flock in this matchup. And at this point, with the Lions eliminated, I think they're the best team in the NFL. They've been a secondary away from being elite this entire season. They're the league's #1 rush defense. And, of course, Josh Allen has played out of his mind. James Cook has been elite. If you can take James Cook away, Allen is going to have a tougher time with this sort of, I don't even want to call them ragtag receiver core because they're better than that. But, aside from Khalil Shakir, it's Mac Hollins, it's Curtis Samuel, it's the ghost of Amari Cooper, it's Keon Coleman, a rookie. I'm not sure they can do it with the Ravens secondary that is now dialed in. The key really was new defensive coordinator, first-year coordinator Zach Orr taking the reins over Mike McDonald, who is very well respected now, benching Marcus Williams. He was the free safety. That was the leaky faucet that was just absolutely destroying this Ravens secondary. Now they have Ardarius Washington, who's grading as one of the best safeties in the league. They stopped moving Kyle Hamilton up in the box so much to stop the run. They got Roquan Smith. They got a great D-line to do that. He's playing more in the backfield now, and alongside, Nate Wiggins, who's playing at an all-pro level. The secondary is now dialed in. You couple that with the league's #1 rush defense. Well, I don't need to tell you about the Ravens offense. I mean, the Bills had a historic season in terms of efficiency. They were #2 in terms of red zone efficiency, 72% rate they're scoring inside the 20-yard line. Guess who's #1? The Baltimore Ravens at almost 75%. They were even better somehow. So I just think now that the Ravens are catching heat on defense, they're the better team. And I think Lamar and this team, who was criticized last year with being eliminated from the playoffs for abandoning the run game, abandoning their identity, will make good on that and get this one done. In Baltimore, I think the right side is favored now. Or excuse me, in Buffalo, I think the right side is favored.
Oh boy. I don't know if you guys we got a playoff game going on. I don't mind discussing it as we're talking about it. Puka Nacua, 37 yards down the field from Matthew Stafford.
Let's go.
The Rams are knocking on the red zone at Philly 21 with a $1:31 remaining. He caught an incredible catch, took it to the ground. Wow. Matthew Stafford. Let's go.
Brinson, as they say.
I don't know if you guys noticed what shirt I'm wearing. I got this.
Oh,
all proceeds. Awesome. Yeah, all proceeds. If you go to ramsteamstore.com, you can get a LA Fire Department shirt. All proceeds go to help the wildfires.
Awesome.
It's okay. It's okay, but I'm happy with it. Like, I like a little lighter, thinner t-shirt, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah, maybe Puka with the play of the year. You are right there, Aussie Micah.
+7, baby. I'm sweating +7 right now, which is looking great. And I had to sprinkle the money line too. Oh man, Brinson, your whale plays of the year last week, cashing in against the Vikings. I mean, Rams have been our cash cow. Let's keep riding it.
They have.
Come on.
Yeah. I'm on the Bills here. And look, like I get anybody who's on the Ravens. I get anybody who's on the Eagles in this game. Like, there's a little bit of like, I mean, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of wish casting and a little bit of like, I know that the matchups aren't ideal for the matchups aren't necessarily ideal for Buffalo. I think you can make the case that because of what Baltimore does in the power run game, that they're a problem for the Bills. I do, however, firmly believe that Sean McDermott is a great defensive coach and that he is going to have this defense prepared to at least slow down Derrick Henry. Now, if you're missing tackles, if he's ripping off long runs, you can get yourself in some trouble pretty quick. Like that, no question about it. I think Josh Allen is going to come to play in this game. I would bet anything that he's had the discussion. He thinks in his mind that Lamar Jackson is going to win the MVP over him because of he was second team All-Pro and Lamar Jackson was first. Like in his mind, Lamar Jackson's probably going to win the MVP. And I think you've seen a lot of times quarterbacks and players who have that happen, like get motivated in these spots. And so I think that'll help. I think I know the Ravens defense has been substantially better in the second half of the season. I get it. I just think Josh Allen is going to run a ton in this game. He's going to use his legs and lay everything out there. And to me, it's just going to come down to it's going to be a great game on CBS. Close. Fantastic finish, and at the end of the day, I got the Bills stealing one here. I think I'll take them on the money line. I'll take the point, I guess. I mean, I could see it. I could see them kicking a field goal to win it and winning by 1. That wouldn't shock me. But I'm on Buffalo. I think they come out, start hot, and that's the thing to me too. I don't know if the Ravens can. I mean, I know we've seen the Ravens blow out the Bills. I don't know. Like, I think the Bills can come back on the Ravens. I don't know if the Ravens are necessarily built the way they want to be to come back on the Bills. Lamar's an incredible passer. I'm not questioning his passing skill set by any stretch of the imagination. But like we've seen these playoff games where the Ravens become one-dimensional and things kind of go sideways for him. So I think Buffalo comes out hot, run the football well, offensive line cooks, and the Bills, and that's it. That'll do it. The Eagles are going to win the game.
Anyone tail the +7, cash the +6.5 bettors. Cash that too. This is Neil's right here. So shout out to that. And if you got Eagles -6, you're pushing. So beat the line, folks. Beat the line.
Mm-hmm. By the way, just really quickly, I was getting dinner with my brother during the Chiefs game, and I was sitting there, and I had Chiefs -8.5, pretty big, and they blocked the field goal, and I like jump out of we're like a sports bar, so it was like fine to like people were going nuts. And then like I hear this guy in this group next to like standing near our table. He's like, he looks at his girlfriend. He's like, if he'd made that, I would have won because I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to celebrate in your face. He had Texans +9.5. So the safety, so we end up like bear hugging and like going nuts and then get the safety because we both won. We finally like split the middle, which is pretty cool.
That's Brinson. That's what I told my friend. I was like, look, the Chiefs' dark magic works both ways, right? You can cash Mahomes on the money line, winning games, and also getting the calls he does not deserve, just Chiefs voodoo evil. And then also they'll run out the back of the end zone for a safety to blow your spread too. It works both ways.
Great season by the Rams. Can't knock it too much. I think Stafford comes back for another year and it puts up Hall of Fame numbers again. Sia, what's your take for the Bills game here? You've got to play against the spread, but only for the first half.
That's right. I mean, you kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. You said the Bills are going to start off fast. And what I'm really trying to avoid, I've got a first half bet here, money line with the Bills at -105. I'm trying to avoid Derrick Henry in the second half, potentially running downhill against an undersized defense. With all that said, I think this defense is formidable. It's not the same defense for the Bills that we saw in week 4, thanks to some guys coming back from injury. And again, I usually worry about Derrick Henry. And by the way, this Bills defense hasn't been bad, but I usually worry about Derrick Henry in the second half more than I do the first. And I think Josh Allen's going to come out hot. I think these receivers are going to be just fine if he's going to pepper a lot of different receivers here. I do want to say this, though, about the Ravens defense. I mean, they are playing a lot better. We get that. With that said, like if we're going to go last like 8 or 9 weeks, well, 3 of those were against the Steelers, and I don't know that we know what to do with the Steelers. The Texans.
I think we can safely say that the Steelers offense after that first little burst from Russ
not very good.
Was very bad.
Not very good. The Texans, the Chargers, kind of one-dimensional there. Eagles, that's a pretty good offense. Giants and the Browns. So it's not a who's who of like incredible top 10 offenses or quarterbacks for that matter. So I don't know, when we're talking about a Bills offense that's at home, that plays splits-wise, plays a lot better at home. So does the defense. And you've got guys coming back, like a more healthy team than you had earlier in the year. The fact that this is flipped to the Ravens, I actually get it, because the Ravens are built to specifically beat a team constructed like the Bills. But this is still a great Bills team, and they're at home, and they play better at home. And again, I'm going to take the first half because I don't really want to worry about Derrick Henry in the second half as much as the first. So give me the first half Bills. I actually think they're going to win this game, but clearly I'm not super confident about it because that would have been one of my picks if I was. So I'm going to go with the first half here.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I said this earlier, I think there's always some blowout potential in NFL games. I mean, it can happen. It's a playoff game, but like this is the hype. I think this game delivers. And I really think, like whether like I'm right or Danny's right, or C and I are right or Danny's right, like probably comes down to some really like kooky stuff at the end of the game, and may very well be a situation like who's holding the ball, like late, because I trust both Lamar. I mean, they both got good kicking games. I mean, Tucker, a little questionable from deep, but like I don't know. I think like I wouldn't get too upset if you lose your bet on this game on the money line or the spread, because like these are two great teams. I would be frankly quite stunned if somebody came in and just destroyed it.
Yeah, Brinson, to that point, the Ravens actually opened plus 1.5, and I was kicking myself for not immediately grabbing that and teasing them to plus 7.5. Because I agree. I think this will be decided potentially who has the ball last. A 1-score game, potentially really delivering on the game of the year. So if you're a Bills bettor, getting Bills plus 7.5 in a teaser is also something I'd like too. Whichever side is now the underdog, I would have teased up. So
the move was, and I didn't do it. And I've said it's the move. I mean, it's too late. You can't do anything about it. But the move was to tease the Ravens with the Chiefs. And when that line moved to the Ravens being favored, then tease the Bills with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win by 2.5, and they did, you suddenly have this 14-point window to just like a giant landing zone for any type of scores. But I mean, nevertheless.
And also, I just want to mention real quick, speaking of teasers, because it's a play that a lot of people make and a wager type that's super popular in the NFL. I thought it was super suspicious that the Bucs moved the Lions back to minus 8.5, and the Chiefs ended up going to minus 9.5. I thought those spreads would have gone in opposing directions, so to speak. And I thought to myself, man,
smile.
I was going to say, I thought to myself, they're really opening themselves to teaser liability there. I mean, the Bucs know sharp bettors will hammer that down to minus 2.5 and maybe pair that with the Chiefs. But with those lines moving in altering fashion, I got the heebie-jeebies and I stayed off teasers, and there you go. Commanders went outright. So see ya. You're jumping for joy.
Friday morning on the early edge, we had our typical BPE crew, which of course includes Mike McClure. That was the first thing we brought up before we got into official picks, because Danny, I mentioned it's very obvious. It's not like the sports books don't realize that if you drop that Washington line to 8.5, people are going to tease the lines with the Chiefs specifically. And so I asked Mike McClure about that, and he said, first of all, pre-show, he said Washington is live to win this game. He said he likes Washington to cover when we were on. I don't know if he said the live to win on.
He gave plus 440 money line on another show I was on with him. Yeah,
there you go. So yeah, clearly he's been giving that play out as well. But more importantly, he said, and he acknowledged the obvious. He said the sports books they're clearly not worried about the teaser liability when it comes to that specific leg of it, Washington and Detroit, and that should have opened eyes to everybody that's going to be a way more competitive game, and Washington's way more live to win that game than people think.
By the way, if you're watching the show on Twitter or on X, make sure and go to youtube.com youtube.com/SportsLine. I think that's right. So YouTube has those weird URLs sometimes, but and join, subscribe, get alerts on when we go live for these shows we're doing before the primetime games, and come hang with us in the chat here. I just noticed some people like Jonathan says, "Yo, this is my first time betting. Any advice on betting?"
Wow,
that's not a real comment.
Yeah. Yo, any advice on life?
Yeah, win. Listen to us. We'll give you some winners. Zay Flowers, notable inactive for this game. I think that's the only thing that we really need to touch on with
Which
those guys.
actually, Brinson, it's interesting because it hasn't come into the handicap at all. Like in the sports books, never adjust the spread based on Zay. He's their wide receiver 1, right? And it's interesting that like the spread has never been impacted by his news.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus Williams inactive matter. Yeah. I mean, but like the thing with Zay was he was doubtful the entire week. So like they knew that when they messed with that spread. Let's get to our player props. And I will go ahead and tell you that I think Josh Allen player props are great in this spot. He ran a good amount last week. They used him on short yardage, particularly on fourth down. Mm-hmm. And they weren't as aggressive with him in the red zone because they felt like with his hand injury against a team as a 9-point favorite at home against a team with a rookie quarterback, they could win in that game without risking Josh Allen's health or, getting him battered in the trenches there. I think it will be a very different case, particularly against a stout Ravens run defense here, where they will use Josh Allen in the red zone a ton. And Josh Allen's anytime touchdown price is plus 110. To me, that is really, really good value on a guy who has shown in the playoffs that he loves to use his legs. And I think when they get close, you get pass interference, you get down to the 1. I mean, I know that they could feed James Cook. I think it's more likely that they will give Josh Allen the rock and let him dive in. I'm also on Josh Allen over 47.5 rushing yards. Again, this is as big a spot as it gets. He is going to do anything he possibly can to win this game. And I would not be surprised at all if the Bills came out, not necessarily with like some read option stuff, but if their initial game plan coming out of the gate, whether they get the ball first or not, will be some designed runs for Josh Allen, because I think that will throw the Ravens defense off a little bit. We saw Baltimore do that with Lamar against Pittsburgh. I think that is very much in play for Josh Allen in this spot. Danny, you have a rushing quarterback prop as well.
Yeah, I feel like these balance each other nicely, right? Whether you like the Bills or the Ravens, you like either quarterback to shine in this spot. These are the two rightful MVP candidates, the two best offensive players in the league. So let them take matters in their own hands, or I should say legs, perhaps, because I like Lamar Jackson over 54.5 rush yards. He had 54 rushing yards when these teams met earlier in the season, and he did that on 6 carries. Lamar has ripped off chunk plays time and time again this season. He can go for a long one at any time. And I think the Bills, forced to stack the box against Derrick Henry, are liable to get beat to the outside on those read option plays, right? Lamar and the Ravens, like I mentioned when I talked about my money line pick on them, were criticized heavily along with the offensive coordinator for abandoning that run-focused game plan. This has always been their identity. And Lamar didn't run in so many opportunities. You look back at game film in last year's playoff game where they were eliminated, like he just had so much space in front of him and decided to maybe prove himself as a passer or go for the deep shot when, obvious 10 yards was there. I don't think he makes that mistake again. Lamar is going to do it himself. I think he has 10 plus carries, and that should, at the rate that he is able to, break off chunk plays, that should be able to clear this total. Last week against the Steelers in the wild card round, 15 carries for 81 yards. He's doing it. Skinny Lamar season, as my friend Ken Brooks likes to say. Rushing focused Lamar. I think he does it himself.
Worth noting here, the juice on that 54.5 is now minus 145, which is wild considering the juice is minus 115 to the under. And Josh Allen's number is up to 50.5. I mean, clearly that's a big. That's gone up 3 yards since I looked at 4:30 p.m. East. So 2 hours, just gone up 3 yards. Obviously, I wouldn't give out 47.5 if it was 50.5, but I'm still okay with it 50.5. I think both of these guys get there with their legs and like probably end up somewhere closer to 70. That's just my take on it, just because of like the focus that both defenses will have on stopping the actual run and how I think that they'll utilize them in the game plan. Sia, any thoughts on player props for you?
No, I mean, I do have an SGP that implicates some specific players. I would be looking at, this is a really difficult game for me to handicap. It was hard for me to, I like the pick I've got, but from a prop standpoint, I do agree with both of you that this is going to be like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in their hands type of game. The problem on the Buffalo Bills side is that I do think Josh Allen's going to run a little bit. I also think he's going to have to pass a little bit, whereas the Ravens are going to have a little bit easier time to run. So my props are more focused, and we'll see it in the SGP whenever we get to it. But
I tell you what, you want to go to it right now?
Because it's really three primary receivers that I think have a chance here for Josh Allen to go over their props. And you see, I've got a lot of alt lines here across the board, but we've got Dalton Kincaid, 25 plus receiving yards. These are alt lines. Mark Andrews, 25 plus, Khalil Shakir, 25 plus, and Keon Coleman, 25 plus the Bills, plus 7.5 alt line and over 41.5 alt line. This with the BetMGM boost gets you to plus 562. Really what I'm focused on here, as you can see, is the pass catchers, because I think for Josh Allen and company to score the amount of points that this game is set for, it can't just be Josh Allen running and James Cook. That's just not how it's going to get done. I think Shakir and Kincaid in line are going to get peppered with some targets. And I do think Keon Coleman on the outside, I don't think he's going to get peppered with a ton of targets, but for him, it probably only takes 2 catches for him to get here. And I actually think because he can get downfield, he's a ladder play potential, because I think we could see him with 50 or 60 if he catches one long ball. So this is my SGP. Again, it's more focused on the pass catchers for the Buffalo Bills.
I like that. You're not really, like, I think with the Bills and just the way that they sort of spread it around, if you're going to attack their pass catchers, those lower numbers with several guys who can easily clear that. But like, if anybody has an explosion game, it's either going to be Coleman with some deep shots or Shakir just like eating up targets underneath. Yeah. But like, you're more likely to get several guys. And then I think Andrews could be in line for a big game as well. Like that parlay from Sia. Let's take a couple questions in the chat. Only have a few thoughts. Oh, my bad. Good job, Ben. Thoughts on Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns? Nose Flowers.
I think that's tough. I think he gets one, maybe to Bateman or Andrews. I'm not sure about the second, because they're going to look to punch it in and just go ground heavy in the red zone. So the second one might be tough to come by, but he's certainly capable of it. I don't think I would bet it.
Both Allen and Lamar for over 1.5 are in that 125 to minus 135 range. It's just not super. I like these props. This one's just not super appetizing to me. I would lean to the over, but I'm not taking it.
Yeah, I would probably pass on that. Amari Cooper from our buddy Jeff Stenberg. Amari Cooper, 50 yards, receiving plus 350. I'm lighting myself on fire and jumping through a table if this coming in. Let's go, Bills Mafia. We can only hope, Jeff. We can only hope.
Elbow, Jeff. People's elbow style. I mean, Amari Cooper has been nowhere to be found on this offense. He had that one touch. I know him because I had him on 2 fantasy teams. I was waiting for him to pop all year. He had that one play when he joined the Bills where he didn't know the route. And it was either Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir who told me it's Verts, dude. Who was it?
It was Keon.
It was Keon. He was like, it's Verts, dude, run Verts. Yeah. And he just ran a vertical route and caught a touchdown. That is about it. He hasn't showed up much other than that play. So I'm not sure he knows his place in this offense yet. I love my guy, Jeff, but I don't know if Cooper's the guy I would touch.
Yeah. Jeff Stewart points out that Bet365 is Henry 100 rush and receiving boosted to 125. That's a good look.
Yeah, I mean, hard to just like that.
Yeah. I mean, the receiving is probably just gravy on that. Yeah, that's a good look for sure. Mm-hmm. Need Henry to score to win 1,700 and Kincaid to score to win 1,200. Well, wow. I hope you get there, Jacob.
I think both can happen. I honestly think Kincaid anytime touchdown is. I don't know what the odds are off the top of my head. I'll take a look, but I think Kincaid's very much in play. Obviously, Henry is as well.
For sure. Keon Coleman, longest reception, 15.5. I think Sia sort of broke that down why he likes that for sure. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Kincaid TD. We like it. Justice Hill over 2.5 receptions. I think it's a pretty good look. You have the benefit of, if the Bills do start out hot, you could see them throw the ball. The Ravens use Justice Hill a lot more, and they've really just, since he can, we saw it in the against the Steelers, like he gets mixed in when he's healthy and he's out there. So certainly don't mind that. Kincaid plus 275, pretty good. Yeah. Curtis Samuel over 14.5 receiving.
It would be a no for me because I just think it's a little too speculative. I mean, yeah, he can do it. There's a lot of targets, and I do think the focus is going to be on the 3 that I mentioned in the SGP. He could get there, though. Absolutely.
And to see his point about like speculative plays, like in the playoffs, I might stray away from Justice Hale and Curtis Samuel. Attack the players that you know will be involved in the game. I took a Deontay Johnson prop in the Texans game and thought they would utilize him. Not one catch for 12 yards and then nothing else. So just attack the guys that you know will be involved in the game.
I will say that Joe Brady loves Curtis Samuel. You know, had him in Carolina, used him a ton. He's not afraid to sort of because there's just so many different weapons for the Bills and they kind of get lost. And then like Mac Hollins, I mean, you know, wore that insane outfit. Do you see him in like the Hawaiian Bills Zubaz or whatever? I mean, Mac Hollins is a guy that the Bills love. Like the team loves him and they're not afraid to kind of design plays that bring those, because those two guys are just not going to see the top end, you know, defensive backs most of the time. And they're definitely not going to see double coverage. So they like to get them involved. Okay. Oh, one more question on a prop, and then we'll get to our final segment. Jeff Stenberg asks, Danny, under half a diamond. Gotta love his commitment to unders. It's really showing here, which brings us to.
That's amazing.
I hate you, Jeff. I hate you, dude.
We've all had our first touchdown bet called back before, and BetMGM is giving you a second chance. With BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance, place any first touchdown score bet, and if your player doesn't score first but scores second, get your entire stake back in cash. No opt-in required. And that brings us to our first touchdown score bets. And as I like to say, I have 2 diamonds. Not the most incredible first touchdown year for us. That's okay. It's been a very chalky season. And I think this is going to be a tough one as well because, you know, you just have a lot of really, really good superstar players and quarterbacks who use their legs by the goal line. Lamar doesn't have that many touchdowns, but he can certainly score quickly. Derrick Henry, James Cook, Josh Allen. I wouldn't be shocked at all if one of those guys was the first one, but I am going to go with the guy we talked about earlier, Dalton Kincaid, 18-1 first touchdown scorer. Think maybe a little bit lost in the shuffle, hadn't been entirely healthy all year, has been productive, and we saw a lot of double teams early. I think the Ravens will be focused on James Cook and Josh Allen down by the goal line, and Kincaid can kind of slide out, a little bootleg, and hit him for the touchdown. Sia, who do you have?
I'm going with Khalil Shakir. I mean, talk about a trusted target. Danny just talked about it, how like we're going to go to the guys we know. And there's a couple things going for Shakir here from an odds standpoint. First of all, they're not the favorite at home, so his odds are going to drop a little bit relative to some of the Ravens. And also, you're going to focus on the running game. Again, it's been a chalky first touchdown year. That's why we have a deficiency of diamonds. But you know, the pass catchers are going to have value here. And again, I think Khalil Shakir is potentially in for like a pretty big game here. And early, he's going to be looked at along with Dalton Kincaid specifically. I think one of those two are really good bets to have your first touchdown.
Tend to agree. Danny?
My guy Seymour says time for Danny to get that diamond, and I couldn't agree more. So I'm going with the new wide receiver 1 on the Ravens. It's Rashad Bateman. And I feel like I said Zay was the wide receiver 1 before, but it's kind of been Bateman all along, right? He's the more reliable route runner, I'd say. He's just like a more reliable target. Zay's got that run after the catch ability and that kind of zigzagginess to him. But I think Bateman is a classic receiver that Lamar needs. He needs one of those guys that is going to be in the spot. And he's been going to him often in the season. You know, it's Bateman and it's Andrews at this point. So if they're going to attack with the run over and over again, the Bills are going to stack the box. You always have that shot of them beating you over the top. And Bateman's a great deep threat. Give me Rashad, 12-1.
All right. We got this game starting. It's a big one. It's on CBS. You need to check it out. Tune your dials. Nance, Romo, Wolfson. Let's recap our bets. I'm on the Bills plus 1.5 for the Bills money line, whichever you prefer. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. Josh Allen over 47.5 rushing yards. Sia had his parlay from earlier, of course, as well as the Bills first half money line. And Danny is on the Ravens, as well as Lamar Jackson's over 54.5 rush yards. That'll do it for us. Let's go have a great ending to a great playoff weekend. Thank you to everybody for watching. For Sia, for Danny, I'm Brinson. See you guys later.